Sophomore Braxton Miller, Buckeye quarterback and Heisman hopeful. He's having a breakout season at breakneck speed with ankle-breaking moves. For the Boilermakers today, it's find a way to bring down Braxton, or it's 8-0 for OHIO. Welcome to Ohio Stadium here in Columbus. It's the Purdue Boilermakers at 3-3, and the Ohio State Buckeyes coming in a perfect 7-0. The Big Ten Leaders Division looks like this. Ohio State and Penn State, they can still win a division title, but they will be ineligible to play in the Big Ten championship game. And Purdue looking for a win today to stay close to Wisconsin. Those bottom four teams all eligible to play for the Big Ten championship. And welcome to Columbus. I'm Beth Mowins, along with former Buckeye great and 16-year NFL veteran Joey Galloway. And Joey, it's no secret that the story so far for this undefeated Ohio State team has been the play of their sophomore quarterback, Braxton Miller.
Braxton Miller has been simply incredible. He's hard to stop, he's hard to tackle, but he's hard to get a hand on. He may be the best escape artist in the country. He has the ability to make 2 to 3 people miss and then go for a 60-yard touchdown. You don't normally see that. This guy's big playability is tough to stop, and he kills defenses.
He's got 5 rushing touchdowns of over 30 yards, 3 of those 50 yards or better for Braxton Miller in his second season of generating the Buckeyes attack. And the big story, of course, for the Boilermakers for the rest of the season, Joey, will be an improvement on the defensive side of the football. They got carved up pretty good the last couple of games. K1 Short is a guy that could play in the NFL next year. He's got to play like it today.
They gave up a ton of yards and a ton of points, but they feel pretty comfortable with their scheme. Coach Danny Hope said, we got to tackle better. Kawan Short in the middle, he's the big guy. He has to be the immovable object. He's got to set the tone for this defense if they have a chance to slow down the rushing game of Ohio State.
Defenses on both sides today looking to restore a little bit of pride. Plenty of rain overnight and into this morning, but the rain has stopped. The sun peeking out from time to time. 52 degrees at kickoff. And for more on the Ohio State defensive side, here's Lewis Johnson.
Beth, thanks very much. Well, no question the Ohio State defense has been called out this week after struggling the last 2 weeks, giving up 87 points. Urban Meyer expressed his concerns about being exposed in space, saying his players are not making tackles and they're struggling there. So all week long, his defensive coordinator, Luke Fickell, working with a group depleted by injuries, and a lot of them are young, freshmen and sophomores. He has been trying to schematically teach them that they need to force Purdue's offense back inside where he has help, and then, of course, make that tackle. So the Buckeye defense has something to prove today, without a doubt. Now, a couple of key injury updates for Purdue. They've got wide receiver O.J. Ross, who's been struggling with turf toe. Thursday, he went half speed. He warmed up today. Danny Hope says he's good to go. But his cornerback, Ricardo Allen, who has 2 bad ankles, came out and warmed up, and Hope says he will not be able to play today. Beth?
All right, thank you very much, Lewis. The series between these two, the Buckeyes with the overall lead and the decided advantage here in Columbus. Purdue, that was a big win for them last year in overtime. They needed to win 2 of their last 3 games to become bowl eligible. And this is what got it going. Back in November of last season, the Buckeyes a blocked extra point late in regulation. That sent it into overtime. And then Robert Marv with the keeper, taking it in for the score, and Purdue with the upset 26-23. And Danny Hope, he's had some success against the Buckeyes in West Lafayette. He's in his 4th season now at Purdue, 19-23, and as you can see, you got to go back to the late 60s for the last time the Boilermakers have won a couple in a row against Ohio State. Urban Meyer in his 1st season here in Columbus, back home, he is 7-0 this year. Overall, 112 wins for Coach Meyer. Ohio State won the toss. They deferred, so they will kick it off to Purdue. Drew Basil kicking off from his own 35-yard line. Akeem Hunt, Danny Anthrop are the deep guys. And it is Hunt going to bring it out of the end zone. And he will get out across his own 15-yard line to the 16. And that is where Caleb Turbush will take over for Purdue in his 2nd year as the starter, the 5th-year senior. 8 touchdowns and 6 interceptions this year.
Turbush has not started this season off very well. He's the guy they expect to lead their team. He's played better in recent weeks, but he has got to pick it up here today.
They have had 3 different guys, Turbush, Robert Marv, and Rob Henry, all play quarterback, sometimes all 3 in one game. And the drop back for Turbush takes a hit as he releases, and wide open is Shavers out of the backfield. He's got the middle linebacker, Storm Klein beat, and the Boilermakers will take it the distance on their first offensive play of the day. Striking at the heart of the troubles defensively, the linebacking core.
And that was one of the themes of today. How would the linebackers play for Ohio State? Already, Storm Klein beat man-to-man down the sideline, big play, and that's been a problem for Ohio State, giving up the big, long touchdowns.
Paul Griggs has the extra point blocked by Ohio State. Both teams have been good on special teams in the punt and kick blocking department. But I don't know if that will be able to take away the excitement for the Boilermakers, and the 83-yard touchdown from Turbush to Shavers to get this one going. Thomas Meadows kicking it off, headed in the direction of Rod Smith from his own 4-yard line, and Smith shaking loose of a couple of tacklers out across the 35 to the 39-yard line for the Buckeyes offense. They are led by Braxton Miller, the sophomore out of Huber Heights, Ohio. He has accounted for 20 of their 35 touchdowns on the season, and he's averaging 130 yards on the ground per game.
If Purdue is going to have a chance in this game at all, they have got to limit Braxton Miller's ability to make the big play. He's going to gain yards. He's going to get plays in this game, but they cannot give up the long touchdown.
Miller 7th in the nation in rushing. He is 88 yards shy of 1,000 for the season coming in today. And feeling some pressure, and takes a passing play and turns it into a running play for a first down out across midfield. Wrapped up by Ryan Russell.
And you can see early the difficulty in tackling Braxton Miller in the open field. A couple missed tackles already on the first play for Purdue.
Let's see if they'll go after Frankie Williams, the cornerback, the redshirt freshman, getting the start out there on the top of your screen. As Lewis Johnson reported, Ricardo Allen nicked up. And so the redshirt freshman is man-on-man with Evan Spencer. The give will be to Rod Smith. He picks up a yard on the play. Let's take a look at today's Impact Players, brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
At running back, Carlos Hyde averaged 25 carries a game for the last 2 games. Wide receiver Devin Smith averaging 22 yards a catch. And then Bradley Roby, the speedster out at defensive back, already has 1 touchdown this year.
Through the first few games, in a lot of ways, this was a one-man attack with Braxton Miller, and now he's got a running mate with Carlos Hyde the last couple of weeks. Hyde is out right now. Smith is the setback. And Smith, they'll try to run right up the middle and establish their presence between the tackles, but so far, Kawan Short and Bruce Gaston standing tall.
And this will set up the first 3rd and long for Ohio State in this offense, and we'll see if Braxton Miller will put this ball in the air. He's sometimes more dangerous on passing downs with his run ability. Once the defense backs begin to cover, they lose sight of Braxton Miller, and that's when he reels off big plays.
Stoneburner in motion. They'll try Hyde. They'll try and muscle it up the middle. Will Lucas, the middle linebacker, coming up to make the hit on him, and he's going to be a yard short. Yard and a half.
And here comes a 4th and 1 with a good offensive line. You definitely go for it here if you're Urban Meyer, because you talked about how good your offensive line is.
Braxton Miller trying to get to the line quickly, and now they'll check to the side. Miller to Carlos Hyde. He's got it, and then some. Inside the 30. Undercut at the 25-yard line by Frankie Williams, and a big block up front by Andrew Norwell, and a pickup of 20.
And you just mentioned the offensive line and the confidence that this coaching staff has in these guys. And Norwell opens up a huge hole for Carlos Hyde. Big play. A lot of big plays are broken on 4th and 1 because the defense is so inside the box. Everyone's at the line of scrimmage and allows guys, if they can break the first level, it's a big play waiting to happen behind them.
Over 350 yards rushing 2 weeks in a row. That's the best back-to-back performance since 1980. That sets up Miller to the air, firing again over the top of Devin Smith. He was checked by Landon Fichter.
And again, the ball sails on Braxton Miller. We talked about his passing game. At times when his feet aren't under him, the ball will sail, go over the wide receiver's head. He has got to hone that in a little bit if they're going to have any success throwing the ball.
2 for 6 now for 18 yards. By the way, he has now passed Kirk Herbstreit, and the 15th spot all time in passing yardage at Ohio State in just his sophomore season. Wanted to quick out to Devin Smith. The pass deflected. Josh Johnson was bringing some heat from the cornerback spot, got a hand up.
And that's an adjustment by offenses. A receiver, when he sees the corner blitz, as Johnson blitzes Braxton Miller, the corner just takes a couple steps off the ball, and the quarterback just guns it out there, and it leaves the receiver alone with the safety. There, Johnson did a really nice job of deflecting the pass and stopping the big play possibility for Ohio State.
And they find themselves in 3rd and long once again. Miller looking left all the way, now dropping it underneath to Brown. Nice cutback at the 15 and inside the 10. 1st and goal, Ohio State. Got a terrific block from Evan Spencer to spring him 17 yards.
And Brown ran what we call a jerk route underneath. He comes to the middle, he freezes, catches the linebacker's attention, and then continues across the field and loses the linebackers and converts to 3rd down.
1st and goal with Hyde behind Miller. Braxton with the keep and the touchdown. 8 yards on the run for Braxton Miller. His 10th rushing touchdown of the season. Drew Basil will attempt the PAT. And a big 3rd down conversion for Braxton Miller through the air and then on the ground for the touchdown. Going against the grain.
And this is what Braxton Miller does so special. You give him a little crease, he can turn into the big play for a touchdown.
Buckeyes on top, 7-6. Braxton Miller engineering the scoring drive for the Buckeyes. They go 10 plays, 67 yards, had a big 4th down conversion and a 3rd and 10 conversion as well en route to the 8-yard touchdown run. A blocked extra point, the difference on the scoreboard here with 5:29 to go in the 1st quarter. Basil to boot it. Akeem Hunt's going to bring it out. Hunt with a nice lane down the near sideline and the cutback. Akeem Hunt trying to beat the kicker Basil. Hunt going to take it all the way for the touchdown on the kick return. 100 yards, and Purdue is back on top. An 83-yard touchdown pass, and now a 100-yard kick return for the Boilermakers. Tigers.
And once again, it's the big play that hurts Ohio State. The big play, the long ones. This is an explosive play for another touchdown.
Last extra point was blocked by the Buckeyes. This one through the uprights for Purdue. And a 13-7 lead. Akeem Hunt, the sophomore out of Covington, Georgia, was actually a couple of yards deep. And it was the cutback right there that sprung him loose.
Does a really nice job of staying inbounds, and once he makes the cutback, there's no one left but the kicker. And as a return man, you will not, you cannot get stopped by the kicker when you have him in open field and you're at full speed.
Did you see that a couple of times in your career, Joey? Just the kicker in front of you?
Yeah, there were a couple of times that when I seen the whites of his eyes, it was over. That is just a general rule. It is tough for you to come back to the sideline
if you get tackled
by the kicker.
83-yard touchdown pass, 100-yard kick return scores. Rod Smith and Bryante Dunn, the true freshmen, are back deep for the Buckeyes. Smith gets a running start out to the 42-yard line. Miller on the rollout, and his receiver Spencer fell down, and the pass almost picked off by Frankie Williams.
And Coach Tom Herman talked about Spencer's ability to run nice routes. He said he's probably his best route runner, but as a receiver, you cannot lose your feet or bad things happen. That ball should have been picked off and possibly been another big play, a touchdown for Purdue if the defensive back just holds on to it.
Frankie Williams starting today for the injured Ricardo Allen. Looked like he was ready to make a tackle there instead of a catch. Miller, they keep nice tackle in the open field by Taylor Richards, the safety.
And that is one heck of an open field tackle. Braxton Miller, and we talked about his shiftiness, his quickness in the open field. Not many people do that. Not many people get face up with Braxton Miller in the open field and have the ability to bring him down. Taylor Richards just did it.
Sophomore out of Lake Mary, Florida, had the spy on him from the snap. Purdue showing four-man rush on 3rd and 10. They'll bring a couple of linebackers, and Brown getting open across the middle to the 40, but that will not be enough. Ryan Russell with the tackle, a pickup of 8, 4th and 2.
Purdue mixing up a little bit, bringing the blitz and playing the zone behind it. That's why Russell was 3 to 4 yards deep. He dropped back from defensive end, and it ran the shallow route right to him to make the tackle. And again, Purdue's defense finds a way to get off the field.
Well, Tim Tibesar, the defensive coordinator, the 3rd one they've had in the last 4 years, by the way, told us this week that despite the number of points put up on them the last couple of weeks, he didn't think they were that far off. Able to fall on the ball there is Josh Johnson. And Caleb Turbush under duress. And the sack at the 8, Garrett Goebel, the senior out of Villa Park, Illinois, taking him down. It's been a big play Purdue this afternoon. 83-yard touchdown catch by Akeem Shavers on their first offensive play. They forced a fumble, and then the 100-yard kick return for Akeem Hunt. Zach Bourne back in there at middle linebacker for the Buckeyes. He leads the charge up front for the stop.
Ralph Bolden on the carry.
Ralph Bolden. Boilermaker fans happy that he is back in the fold. He's had 3 ACL injuries over the course of his career. A couple of years ago, an all Big Ten performer.
And Ralph Bolden led this Purdue offense in rushing last season, had the injury, played about 15 plays last week. They said they'd like to get him about 25 to 30 this week. So he is big for their run game and their ability to move the chains.
nickel package defensively on the field for the Buckeyes on 3rd and 7. 4 receivers for Turbush to look at. Feeling the heat coming from Spence on the backside, trying to get by Boren. Close to the first down out at the 19. The spot, though, is going to put him a yard short.
And that's a big play by Zach Boren. He's a fullback playing linebacker out in open field with Turbush, makes the tackle. Luke Fickell said, look, he's a football player. He knows how to find the ball and tackle the ball, and that's what he did there. And this should create pretty good field position for Ohio State after this punt.
Corey Brown at his own 40-yard line. And the keeper on the fake punt and a first down. Purdue out to the 22-yard line. Cody Webster picking it up, running to his left.
And this is a play where the punter, Cody Webster, is just reading the defense. He runs out to his left, and he decides, can I make this? Can I get a few yards? It was just a 4th and short, and it's a risky play on your own 20, but they convert, and that is another one of those big plays for this Purdue team.
Danny Hope says his special teams have to be a difference maker. They are the difference maker thus far. Hakeem Shavers picks up 3 on first down, runs into John Simon. That's old school. Look at Danny Hope's he's got the whistle on, even down on the sideline. He's ready to coach him up.
I mean, between the mustache and the whistle, I mean, he looks like a old school coach from the 1960s.
4th-year guy. He knows how big this is. He's been at Purdue for 10 years as a head coach and assistant. That'll be another first down for the Boilermakers, moving the chains. Shavers finding some success out of the backfield in a gain of 8.
They're doing a nice job of keeping the Ohio State defense off balance. That's what they talked about. They wanted to show them a bunch of different looks. And again, here comes Shavers out of the backfield into the flat to get a first down. But Shavers out of the backfield has been good for them today. That's how they scored their first touchdown, with Shavers lined up at fullback, went out to the left side and got a linebacker in one-on-one man. And then on this last play, again, out of the backfield into the flat.
Defensive coordinator Luke Fickell pulling his guys together as the first quarter comes to an end. And the Boilermakers liking the score, 13-7 on the road. Back here at Ohio Stadium, the Purdue Boilermakers leading the Buckeyes 13-7, trying to hand Ohio State its first loss of the season. An 83-yard touchdown pass, a 100-yard kick return for the Boilers. Braxton Miller's got a rushing touchdown for Ohio State. Out of the I formation this time for the Boilers. That's Ralph Bolden with the cutback out across the 35 to the 37-yard line, following the block of Rick Schmeig, the center.
And Rick Schmeig is the guy that this offensive line, they look to for his leadership. They look to for his toughness. He's the guy, he started for 2.5 years now. He is one of the vocal leaders of not just the offensive line, but the entire offense.
The 13th play of the drive for Purdue. Remember, it was kept alive by the 4th down fake punt run by Webster. And now Hunt cannot get to the edge. Shazier, the leading tackler this season for the Buckeyes, getting another one.
Ryan Shazier is a guy who is the most athletic linebacker on this team. You talk about the troubles and the depth that Ohio State has had at linebacker, but one guy, Ryan Shazier, has showed up game after game. He's getting 9 tackles a game this season, and you can see here today, he's the guy that has the ability to tackle on the open field and go sideline to sideline.
3rd down. Turbush quickly gets it out of his hands, and another first down for the Boilermakers to Gary Bush. 8-yard gain, move the sticks.
Coach Nord talked about Turbush's ability to sustain long drives, get the ball out of his hands. This is a quick strike in a tight zone area. Nice job by the receiver, find a nice soft spot in the zone, and Turbush delivers a strike on time. Those are tough to stop in the zone if the quarterback delivers the ball on time.
5 straight completions for Caleb Turbush. They've always liked his composure at quarterback. And now it's Rob Henry in there, and he will keep it and run for 9, maybe 10 yards and another first down. The spot will leave him just short. They will rotate Turbush back in at quarterback, and now Henry is at wideout to the top of the screen. And on 2nd and short, Turbush, the keeper, straight ahead, and dives for the first down.
This offensive line did a really nice job of getting movement. I mean, it's second and you need an inch. All you need is a little bit of movement. And you got Hankins and Goebel in the middle. Those guys are hard to move, but this offensive line got low and moved these guys back and gave Turbush just enough room to get a couple yards and move the chains. That is Turbush, correct?
Yeah, that was Turbush on that one. Yeah, that offensive line, they talk about team takeoff on the offensive side of the ball, and that quick burst by the O-line got it started. 1st and 10 Boilermakers. Well, the best way to not let Braxton Miller beat you is to keep him on the sideline. And the extended possession here for the Boilermakers. And to the air intended for Ross, and a penalty flag as Bradley Roby had hands on the wide receiver, and there's also a penalty flag in the backfield.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 19 defense. That penalty is declined. Why is that declined? Pass interference, defense, number 1. That's a spot foul, automatic first down.
They will take the spot foul on the wide receiver instead of the Johnson roughing the passer penalty. And Roby hands on the receiver.
And then in that situation, Roby's in perfect position. Just relax, turn, and play the ball when it's in the air.
Shazier again making the stop. Got some help from Hankins. Edison, the ball carrier. 2nd and goal coming up on the 18th play of the drive. It started back on their own 9-yard line. They'll pitch to Edison, lined up at tailback. And he cannot get by C.J. Barnett with the tackle. 3rd and goal.
And this is what Purdue likes to do. They like to bring their guys and line up guys, receivers in the backfield. They'll put running backs out wide. It just gives you a multitude of looks. Now here on 3rd and 6, you expect to see maybe a play action pass. And this will be where the linebackers will have to show they have the ability to cover and the ability to get out to the flat, because that's where they've been hurt by this Purdue offense.
No tight ends here for Purdue. 4 wide, Bolden in the backfield. Turbush popped up in the air and intercepted in the end zone by C.J. Barnett. Ryan Shazier tipped it, and the Buckeyes get the turnover. Shazier almost had it in his hands, and Barnett secures it in the end zone. A long drive for the Boilermakers, and they come up empty. 6 tackles for Shazier and the deflection that resulted in the interception. And now for the Buckeyes offense. Carlos Hyde could not get to the outside. Good pursuit by Frankie Williams. Thank you, Robert. 13-7 Purdue. They had a blocked PAT. Otherwise, a couple of scores. And even though they didn't get points on that last drive, Joey, they ate up 10.5 minutes off the clock. That's 10.5 minutes less for Braxton Miller to work with.
Absolutely. They kept the Ohio State offense on the sideline, and then they come out on the first play, and they make the offense go sideways, and that's what you have to do to stop Carlos Hyde. And then on the second down, they give up 4 yards, but now it sets up a 3rd and 5, and Purdue's been pretty good on 3rd down so far on defense.
How is he not offside?
Miller going to keep it, and he will go down. Ryan Russell with his 3rd sack of the season. The sophomore out of Carrollton, Texas. Right in on top of Miller.
And Ryan Russell's a guy that they expect big plays from. He's been injured this season. He's not 100%, but he looks great on this play. Open field again. These guys have done a really nice job when they've had their opportunities against Braxton Miller in the open field. That's a defensive end versus Braxton Miller. Braxton Miller wins that battle 99% of the time.
He came around on the stunt as Kwan Short took care of 2 offensive linemen. The boot is away, and the fair catch, and boy, another bobble on a return. That's Frankie Williams who's out there to make the play. The Boilermakers on top, 3:15 to go in the half. A lot of pink in the house. It's their breast cancer awareness day here in Columbus. Ralph Bolden getting to the outside, and a nice cutback across midfield. And down to the Ohio State 48-yard line, tackled by C.J. Barnett.
And Storm Klein here back in the game at linebacker after taking a couple series off. He should be able to get to the flat to stop that run. Doesn't quite make it, doesn't have the foot speed, and they're able to pick up 8 yards to set up a 2nd and short.
There is Storm Klein back in at middle. 2nd and 2. And the good push forward by that offensive line gets the 1st down yardage for the Boilermakers.
And there's Klein initially untouched, and you wonder, is he banged up a little? He took some series off there, and Zach Bourne played at linebacker in his position, so you wonder, is he banged up? Is he healthy enough to go? On that play, he did not look real good.
That was a couple of plays ago. He did miss some time with the back injury last week. And that precipitated a move by Zach Boren from fullback to linebacker. And on 1st and 10 for Purdue, it's Henry back in at quarterback, and he will hand it off for the 1-yard gain to Ralph Bolden. Turbush back in there at quarterback, and out to the flat, and the catch made by Delapo McCarthy. Travis Howard with the tackle.
And that's a nice gain. And again, Turbush gets the ball out of his hands and delivers a strike. And it's a nice gain because it sets up a 3rd and 2. And again, if you want to keep the defense off balance, getting these 3rd and shorts, and it allows you to either run or pass the ball.
Shazier showing blitz up the middle with Klein. The 2 linebackers will now step back as Turbush will change things up. And a timeout called by Purdue. Turbush at quarterback, Shavers behind him. 2 for 7 on 3rd downs today. And that will come up just a bit shy. Got inside the 35, needed to get inside the 34. Jonathan Hankins, the projected 1st-round draft choice defensive tackle, with the stop.
And that's an interesting call for Purdue. You know, Coach Nord told us that they've struggled.
Well, it looks like, are they thinking of going for it on 4th down? Paul Griggs, their kicker, his long this season is 40 yards. So and instead of going for it on 4th down, they will attempt a 52-yard field goal here for Paul Griggs. That would be his season high. On its way, and it is no good. And Purdue on the road will head to the locker room with the lead at 13-7. Down to the field now, and Lewis Johnson.
All right, Beth, thanks very much. Well, defensive struggles still continue. What's the message here at halftime for them?
Well, defense, other than the first plays, played great. You know, they've stopped them, and I mean, held them till I don't believe they scored. It was first play of the game and then a kickoff return, which is unbelievable.
All right, now, how do you get this offense, which has been so prolific, going here in the second half?
We got to block them. I mean, that's been our MO right now, is to block them up front. We're not doing a great job of that.
All right, Urban, thanks. Beth?
Thank you, Lewis. At the half, our score, Purdue 13, Ohio State 7. The studio will catch you up on all the scores and highlights from the afternoon after these messages from our ABC stations. Well, Purdue's been getting their good time on here in Columbus through the first half of play, 13-7. Purdue looking to hand Ohio State its first loss of the season, and a couple of big plays, the difference for the Boilermakers. Beth Mullins along with Joey Galloway, a stout defense in that first half for Purdue, and a couple of big plays to get them on the scoreboard.
And this is a defense that has given up almost 800 yards rushing in the last 2 games. They go into the second quarter, they pitch a shutout, and then they've only given up less than 50 yards rushing to Ohio State. Braxton Miller, Carlos Hyde, guys who have been on fire running the ball. This Purdue defense has played well, and they've tackled well. 9
plays in the second quarter for the Buckeyes, and a big bagel in terms of total yards. They ended the first quarter with 101. They end the first half with 101, and a lot of that had to do with that Purdue defensive effort led by those guys up front. Let's see what Urban Meyer, the offensive whiz, has in store coming out of the locker room for a Buckeye team that averages 40 points per game. They will have the ball first to start out this third quarter. Brad Smith switches direction and gets out across the 25 to the 26. Braxton Miller rolling out to his left through the hands of Corey Brown, incomplete. 49 yards on the ground, 52 yards through the air for the Buckeyes. They come in averaging over 450 yards per game.
Braxton Miller has not been very accurate today. That ball was catchable, but again, high. His ball has been sailing high here all afternoon.
6 for 16 for Braxton Miller. Hyde offset. Miller going to keep it. And he will get just a couple. Taken down by Ryan Russell. Ohio State, its scoring drive in that first half, capped off by a Miller run. They covered 67 yards, but then in their other 6 possessions, just 34 yards of offense.
I think he made a mistake on this last run, and he doesn't make many in the run game. He looked like he should have stayed play side. He had blockers out to the left. He cut back and allowed Purdue's defensive line to get back into the play.
Miller will give to Hyde, and he's got the first down, breaking into the secondary, out across the 40 to the 43-yard line.
And that's nice blocking by the right side of the Ohio State offensive line. Hall Fragel, good job of opening up that hole, letting Carlos Hyde run downhill. And when he goes downhill, he's tough to stop.
7 carries, 51 yards now for Hyde. Had a couple of 100-yard rushing games last season while Boom Herron was out with the suspension. Then didn't play as much when Herron came back. And now this year, with Jordan Hall out with the injuries, he's got a couple more 100-yard rushing days as Miller is sacked by Robert Macy. The linebacker taking him down.
And Macy's the guy that this coaching staff talked about. He's the linebacker that has played so well. And sometimes they put his hand down on the ground when they bring in their sub package and they play nickel. He goes down, and you could see his speed allowed him to get around the end and make a sack on Braxton Miller.
Took a bump from Andrew Norwell, kept on his feet, and got to the quarterback. 2nd and 12. I'll try Hyde again, runs into short, bumps off of him. Antoine Higgs able to take him down. Back to the original line of scrimmage. 3rd and long, Buckeyes.
And that's what Short has to do for this defense. He has to be the guy that stands in the middle and does not get blown off the ball. And he did it there. He makes Carlos Hyde have to make a cut. And that's what you need to do. Make Carlos Hyde make a cut in the backfield, and it allows your defense to rally and gang tackle a big, strong guy like Carlos Hyde.
Another first-round projected pick from ESPN.com Scouts Inc. The NFL draft next spring. Miller empty backfield. Blitz coming from Charlo. Miller eludes it and fires downfield for the first down to Philly Brown. 19 yards through the air for Miller.
And probably the best ball that Miller has thrown all day. He gets outside the pocket, makes the initial play with his feet, and then gathers himself as he gets out, looks downfield, and throws a strike.
This has been his favorite target this year. Philly Brown now with 44 catches, but may have gotten nicked up on the tackle. Miller looks the opposite way. He's got a man wide open at the 10-yard line, and diving inside the 5 is Chris Fields. 1st and goal, Ohio State, and a 35-yard gain.
And here Braxton Miller goes downfield with a throw, and you wonder if, you know, and here's Carlos Hyde out here, and Purdue is worried about the screen out left, and they break the coverage to the other side and allows Braxton Miller to go downfield to make a big play for the offense.
Carlos Hyde, right up the middle, touchdown, Ohio State. Hyde with his 8th rushing touchdown of the season. And he continues, Joey, to provide them with a 2nd weapon on the ground to complement Braxton Miller. Extra point for the lead, and they've got it. 7:41 to go here in the 3rd. 80 yards, 8 plays, and Hyde capping it off with the short run. Miller setting it up nicely through the air with Fields, gets him 1st and goal, and Hyde finishing it off. A good balanced drive for the Buckeyes and a 1-point lead.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Great American Neil Armstrong, remembered with that sticker on the helmets of the Purdue players. Of course, well loved here in the state of Ohio as well, for all the years that he spent here in the Buckeye State. Kickoff after the touchdown for OSU, and it's a Akeem Hunt. Had a 100-yard kick return for a score in the first half, taken down at his own 17-yard line by David Perkins. Turbush at quarterback, his counterpart. And Turbush drops it off in the flat. And the catch is made by McCarthy. Pickup of about 8. Bradley Roby wrapped him up.
It's a nice job by Turbush, moving his feet and keeping his eyes downfield, finding a guy on the flat. They've been pretty good when they've been able to gain 5 or 6 yards on 1st down, and it keeps those flats open. They've been very good at throwing the ball out in the flat, picking up 3 and 4 whenever they need it on 2nd and 3rd downs.
Turbush, another receiver screen. And the 1st down for the Boilermakers. Out of bounds at the 38-yard line is McCarthy. Well, we've seen Rob Henry just on a couple of occasions as a kind of a wildcat at quarterback, but it's really been Caleb Turbush throughout today. And Danny Hope and offensive coordinator Gary Nord said they wanted to keep him in the game longer this week and let him get into a rhythm of his own.
And we thought we'd see Rob Henry a little bit more at wide receiver. And we've seen him, maybe one play out there. It'll be interesting to see if they do get him more involved, but he's been on the sideline a lot.
They did get the benefit of O.J. Ross being able to play today, their speed guy receiver. caught him. They try and sweep it around the left side. Good second effort by Brandon to get out across the 45-yard line. That'll set up a 2nd and short. The 6'4", 260-pound sophomore out of Newton, PA.
And this is another time when the tackling issues for Ohio State come into play here. There's a few guys that get a hit on the running back, and he's able to get 3 or 4 more yards. And those are important yards because they set up this 2nd and short. And as I said, that's when Purdue has been at their best, when they get 5 or 6 on 1st down.
With the bunched receivers to the left, the throw that way again. 3 plays in a row, getting McCarthy some space out on the perimeter. 1st down, Purdue trying to respond to the Buckeyes' touchdown on their last possession. And Tavian Edison. And Indiana had some success on this play last week, Joey, and obviously Purdue likes it as well. That's 4 in a row to a receiver on the outside.
And they didn't throw as many in the first half as you would expect this offense to throw. They enjoy throwing out to the flat. They like throwing the receiver screens, and they just didn't do it much. But they must have seen something, because here in the second half, they've done it a number of times and been successful when they've done it.
Buckeyes continue to go with 2 linebackers and 5 DBs. Now it's Cotton running right up the middle. And a nice tackle by Shazier. It's going to bring him to ground. 3rd down. You know this Buckeye defense has been ready to go. They've been hearing about it all week. 49 points given up to Indiana, including the 2 late scores last week. Much better thus far this afternoon and trying to deny the Boilermakers. But Caleb Turbush is 5 for 5 through the air here in this 3rd quarter. Play action on 3rd and inches, and they'll drop it off to Shavers. And Shavers diving towards the 30-yard line. And the spot will give him the 1st down. 3rd catch of the day for Shavers.
And this is a play that was set up pretty nicely. There was a blocker for Bradley Roby, but Roby makes a nice play getting off the block and stopping this from being a really big play. Shavers has the ball out in the flat with a blocker in front. Roby gets off the block and tackles Shavers. He gets the 1st down, but he did stop the big play.
They go back to the bunched receivers, and they are going to hit it big right here. And the burst into the end zone, and the touchdown for Gary Bush from 31 yards out. They hammered away the entire drive with the wide receiver screen, and they strike it again for the touchdown. PAT is good. 3:49 to go in the 3rd, and a 20-14 Purdue lead as they score out of the bunch set. Gary Bush finds the opening at a couple of nice blocks and his 5th touchdown of the season as the Boilers back on top. Some Buckeye bummage after that last drive. And Purdue with the score and the lead, 20-14, 3:49 to go in the 3rd quarter, looking for their 1st win here at the Shoe since 1988. And that last drive was receiver screen after bubble screen after receiver screen. 6 passes on that 8-play drive that covered 82 yards in under 4 minutes. And they respond in kind to the Buckeye touchdown. Rod Smith taken down at the 20. And another momentum shift, this time to the Buckeyes, and Braxton Miller breaking it across midfield. The stiff arm on Johnson gets him inside the 40. And Miller, for the 2nd time today, slow to get up. after the 38-yard gain. He was hurt in the first half on the late hit from Kawan Short, and now he might have hit head first on the turf. It appears to be just a handful of jersey at first glance and not up under the collar of Miller. So Braxton Miller to the Ohio State bench, and Kenny Guyton, the junior from Houston who has appeared in 5 games in the last 3 straight, will come on in relief. And the handoff right up the middle to Carlos Hyde. As the third quarter comes to an end, Purdue with the 20-14 lead. And the developing story of the condition of Braxton Miller, who is now on the Ohio State bench. Back here at Ohio State, and this scene unfolding just a moment ago. The injury on the field to Braxton Miller. Over to the bench, and then gingerly moving Miller over to put him on the cart. Throughout his time on the sideline, he was doubled over. They did not lie him flat on the cart to take him out. He is seated. And now being driven off to the Ohio State locker room. So Kenny Guyton is now on at quarterback, as Miller will get further assistance in the back. Kenny Guyton now 3rd and 4. And the Buckeyes are down 20-14, starting the 4th quarter. Brown is back out there, the motion man for the Buckeyes. Guyton to the air, broken up, knocked out of there by Frankie Williams. And with your backup quarterback in there, on 4th down, still no decision yet from Urban Meyer. And there is the punting unit coming on.
Kenny Guyton just gets into the game after being on the sideline for so long and has to try to convert a 3rd and 5. Throws the ball to the sideline. Didn't have a lot of mustard on it. Maybe that's from being cold and not having a chance to warm up.
Correction, the field goal unit is on. That is Kenny Guyton, who is the holder for Drew Basel, and a 50-yard attempt. Basel, and that one is no good. Hits the upright from 50 yards out, and Purdue holds, and they will have the ball back.
Definitely has the distance here. The ball sort of tails off to the left side, looks down the middle, and then just goes to the left, hits off the goalpost. And both defenses now have avoided a chance to give up points with field goal issues. Ohio State blocks one, and then Ohio State comes back and just misses one off the goalpost.
Reaction from Urban Meyer. And now Purdue with Caleb Turbush at the helm. Hunt in the backfield. Another new look for Purdue. 4 wide to the right. And the handoff to Hunt, and he is stuffed by Hankins and Simon. And now for an update on Braxton Miller, let's go down to Lewis.
Well, Beth, I was looking up close as the trainers worked on Braxton Miller, and it's hard to say what this injury might be, but I watched them work and touch on the back of his neck, and they kind of moved his hands or what have you. But Braxton Miller, as you mentioned, doubled over in pain, and as they put him on the cart and he drove away, I looked in his eyes, and they were sort of half open, closing back and forth. He looked to be in a lot of pain. Maybe something happened to the head, but Braxton Miller is absolutely in distress. Now going back, I'm assuming, for some sort of x-rays and further diagnostic testing.
Thank you for the report, Lewis. And of course, we won't speculate on the nature of that injury, as the pass here is ruled incomplete. But what we can tell you is that Braxton Miller, at the tail end of a long run, taken to the ground by Josh Johnson. that was right at the end of the third quarter, and Miller carted off to the locker room. So here's the third down, 3rd and 10 for Purdue to try and keep the football.
And Purdue hasn't gone downfield very well with their pass game yet today, and that's why they need to gain those early yards on early downs to avoid these situations.
3rd and 10 for Purdue. Turbush setting up the screen to Hunt. Roby misses the tackle, and Hunt picks up the first down. Out across midfield to the 47-yard line of Ohio State.
And what a play call by Gary Nord. Again, a misdirection, sets it up, has 3 blockers out in front of Hunt. This is just a great play. Turbush rolls out to the right, gets the defense flowing to the right, turns around, gets the ball out into the flat to Hunt. This is just a nice play call. Only one guy left as Roby has a shot, doesn't make the tackle, and it's a big conversion on a 3rd and 10.
There's that bunch set again. They'll run right up the middle. Short gainer there for the Boilermakers. Thank you very much, Robert.
Thanks, Robert.
The Boilermakers with the 4th quarter lead over Ohio State. The Buckeyes at 7-0. And the Boilermakers at 3-3. And Turbush bobbled the snap, grabs it, and pushes his way forward for a couple of yards. And that'll bring up 3rd down and 4. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. The 83-yard touchdown strike on the very first play of the game for Purdue. They've also gotten some great special teams play. The Buckeyes denied a potential touchdown with the interception in the end zone. And the injury to Braxton Miller left the game, carted off to the locker room early in this 4th quarter. Rob Henry is on at quarterback. He will take the snap, and he will keep it, and he will be thrown for the loss. Terrific penetration coming right up the middle with John Simon leading the way, and that cleared Ryan Shazier to make the tackle.
Shazier and Zach Bourne. Zach Bourne, the fullback playing linebacker, makes a nice play, shoots through the middle of the line, and is able to get in on this tackle. Makes the Purdue offense go sideways, and he's able to catch up to quarterback Henry out in the flat and makes a big tackle on a 3rd down.
Just his 2nd game at linebacker. He was the Defensive Player of the Year as a linebacker coming out of high school. Pickerington Central. And a terrific punt for the Boilermakers, and they will bury the Buckeyes deep. Down at the 1-yard line. A 46-yard punt. And a doozy from Cody Webster. Kenny Guyton at quarterback after the injury to Miller. An opportunity, you would imagine, Joey, to see just how good this Ohio State offensive line is, and a lot of Carlos Hyde.
Absolutely going to see Carlos Hyde here, but this coaching staff, they talk about Kenny Guyton and the change that he has made since they've come here, what a leader he has become. They smile, they say such good things about this kid, like he's another coach out on the field, and we'll see now if he can lead these Buckeyes back and get them back into this game.
He had a touchdown pass to Carlos Hyde in the Indiana win last weekend. Rolls out in his end zone. Penalty flag down. And Guyton runs out of bounds at the 12-yard line. Is this a penalty in the end zone on Ohio State?
Illegal block in the back. Offense, number 86. That penalty occurred in the end zone. The result is a safety.
And the Boilermaker defense, which has been big all day, puts some points on the board. That was on, they call it on number 78, Andrew Norwell. Right there on weight number 61, right there. (22-14), Purdue with the lead. Examining and exploring all the dangers of distracted driving. A new initiative, they've got new research here on campus. We are at Ohio Stadium, 22-14, 10 minutes, 11 seconds to go. The safety for the Purdue defense cleans up the blocked PAT from earlier in the game. So they've gone from a 6-point lead now to an 8-point lead, and they will get the ball back. Drew Basil, after the safety, kicks off from his own 20. Hunt looking for room up the middle, taken down at the 33-yard line. Braxton Miller injured in the third corner. Lewis Johnson has more for us.
Well, Beth, I am on the southeast corner of the stadium, just outside the Ohio State locker room, where Braxton Miller has been attended to inside. And just about 3 minutes ago, one of the officers signaled for a gurney and a board to be brought into the locker room. The ambulance is now pulled up to the Ohio State locker room door, and it is my understanding that they're going to load Braxton Miller up and take him to the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, which is right here on campus about 5 minutes away. So we will look for further developments, but Miller all the way to the hospital.
Thank you very much, Lewis. Turbush will keep Garrett Goebel with the tackle. The Boilermakers had the big win against Ohio State late last season. It's been a long time. Got to go back to 1988, the last time, though, that they won here in Columbus. In fact, just twice in the last 60 years for the Boilermakers. A span of 21 trips to Columbus.
And Luke Fickell's defense can't give up many more yards, because they get maybe another first down. They're in field goal range, and that's the scary part here, is getting any more points makes it a 2-possession game.
Hunt with the carry, Christian Bryant with the stop. Well, last year, losses to Michigan and Wisconsin, and then the big win against Ohio State enabled them to finish with a bowl appearance. Will it be similar this time, even though the losses were at home to Michigan and Wisconsin and now on the road in Columbus?
It's interesting. Coach Gary Nord brought that up in our conversation. He realizes that and told his team about this situation to have a chance to come and beat Ohio State with repeat last year.
Hunt. Not a whole lot of room up the middle. Let's check in with Lewis.
Well, Beth, right now, Braxton Miller has been brought out of the locker room on that gurney, and he is being loaded into the ambulance, and they're going to transport him to the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, which, again, is just right on campus, about 5 minutes away. No word yet on what the extent of the injury is, but obviously significant enough to take him to the hospital for an update, but now in the ambulance and headed out.
Thank you very much, Lewis. Braxton Miller injured late in the third quarter, carted off the field early in his fourth quarter. And now Lewis Johnson reporting that he will be taken to a nearby hospital. We do not know the extent of any possible injuries. 6:03 to play. Buckeyes will have the ball back. Back here at Ohio Stadium, 6:03 to play. Ohio State undefeated at 7-0. They are down 8 to Purdue. Devin Smith out to the 29-yard line. Maybe a foot or so shy of the first down. That is his first catch of the day. Kenny Guyton is in at quarterback for Ohio State, replacing the injured Braxton Miller, who Lewis Johnson just reported was put in an ambulance and is being taken to a nearby hospital after sustaining an injury at the end of the third quarter. Guyton will give to Carlos Hyde, trying to get around the edge. Ball is loose and out of bounds at the 30. Run out by Josh Johnson, who also made the tackle here on Miller. He was taken to the bench and then helped from the bench into a cart, went back to the locker room, and then into the ambulance just outside the Buckeyes locker room. And the injury coming just at the end of the third quarter. 3rd down and 2 for Ohio State. Hyde hit by Short, and he will not get there. The big guy coming up big right there.
And Kawan Short, who leads the Big Ten and tackles for a loss, gets into the backfield, penetrates well. He's such a big guy and hard to move that if you don't put two guys on him, Kawan Short will penetrate your offense and make a tackle in the backfield. Now, it's a 4th and 2. This is a scary situation because if you don't make it, Purdue is already in the red zone, already in scoring position.
They need to get to the 30. Hyde, he's got it. Rumbling his way out across the 35 to the 36. First down, Buckeyes. And a pickup of 9.
Coach Meyer talked about wanting tough guys. He put that on the back of his offensive line and said, we're going to run it right up the gut again and see if we can't pick up these 2 yards. And they did that downhill with Carlos Hyde.
So the 4th down conversion.
It's on. It's going to be enough. Please take it. They did.
Play action with Hyde. Guyton throwing deep. Has Smith turned around, incomplete. Josh Johnson on the coverage.
Just has to get this ball out there a little further. This is a throw. The down the sideline deep ball is a throw that Braxton Miller specializes at. Here Kenny Guyton comes in. It's his first time going downfield on a pass. It's to the wrong shoulder, and it's a little short and allows the defensive back to recover and smack the ball away.
Just the 13th pass attempt of the season for Kenny. He's 1 for 3 today. Under 4 minutes to go. Buckeyes need a score and a 2-point conversion. Guyton getting to the outside. He'll throw it underneath to Hyde. He needed just a 1 foot in, and he got it for the short gain. And it's going to bring up 3rd down and 8. Buckeyes have already established that they are in 4-down territory.
And there's the difference between Braxton Miller and Kenny Guyton. When Kenny Guyton rolls out here, there's not as big a threat for him to take off running with his feet and make the big play running the ball. He's going to get the ball out, and sometimes that'll be a short throw. Now here it's set up a 3rd and long where he may have to throw again.
Guyton looking deep for Stoneburner. Pops up in the air, and it is intercepted. Fichter with the pick. The 4th takeaway of the day for the Boilermaker defense after Taylor Richards tipped it.
And this is the throw, Kenny Guyton trying to go downfield. And again, this ball is underthrown. That's his 2nd underthrown ball downfield today.
Off the ricochet, Fichter with the pick. And the Boilermakers have it with 2:40 to go. 2:40 to play. The Buckeyes are looking at potentially their first loss of the season as the Boilermakers have come into Columbus. An 8-point lead, 2:40 to go. Gabe Holmes may have gotten 1. And now it's up to the Buckeye defense here to try and get them another shot. Final timeout for the Buckeyes, so they will not have one if they do get the ball back. 2nd and 14. On the handoff, caught him. Got out to the 16. It'll be 3rd and long, and without a timeout left for Ohio State and the clock running, if you're Purdue, do you throw it here or do you just keep it on the ground and hope for the best.
I don't think they will. I think they will keep it on the ground. They've played safe these last 2 drives. They were on the plus side of the 50 in their last drive on a 3rd and long, and they decided to run it up the middle and then punt it on 4th down. So I'm quite sure on their own 15, they will absolutely try to run this ball, keep the clock running, and punt it away to Ohio State.
The handoff. Shavers trying to get to the outside. He will not pick up the first down yardage. But he does make the heady play. The senior stays in bounds, and the clock continues to roll.
Really nice play by Shavers to have it to bounce the ball out first and keep the clock running as he's keeping his feet alive, and then realizes he's getting close to the sideline, stays in bounds, and again, it accomplishes what they want to accomplish, take more time off the clock, and by the time Ohio State and Kenny Guyton get this ball back, it should be under a minute with no timeouts left.
We welcome our larger audience to our game here in Columbus. Taking a couple of bounces on the punt to Chris Fields. He will pick it up and try to get to the outside, and he will run out of bounds for the Buckeyes at their own 39-yard line with 47 seconds on the clock. And Kenny Guyton at quarterback for Ohio State, replacing the injured Braxton Miller. The extent of his injuries unknown. Guyton trying to engineer the comeback, and he's got a wide open Devin Smith to the 22-yard line. Cut back to the inside. It looked like he might have had a chance to step to the outside. The clock will start up on the spot. A 39-yard gain. Guyton quickly to the line. There goes to clock. They will not spike it. They'll run the play. Guyton on the rollout to Evan Spencer. Caught inside the 15 and out of bounds. 28 seconds to go.
You got to like what Kenny Guyton is doing here. He goes downfield, finally completes one downfield to a wide open wide receiver, gets his offensive team up on the ball, chooses not to spike the ball, but let's run a play. This is college. The clock stops on the first down, so you have time to call a play. Does a really good job, and then gets an 8-yard gain where the receiver can get out of bounds and stop the clock.
Buckeyes, no timeouts. Guyton rolling to the left this time. Guyton with Macy bearing down on him, and Guyton will throw it away. Well, when we asked the coaches about Kenny Guyton yesterday, what did they tell? He's a coach's kid. He knows the game. He's a smart guy, and he has the respect of all of his teammates, who may have freaked out when you lose your starting quarterback, Braxton Miller, but they love the job that Kenny can do for them at quarterback.
I think if this is last year, they're a lot more nervous than the Kenny Guyton that they have now. This guy, they love the way his approach to the game. They love his knowledge of the game, and they like the way he leads this team. He's on the leadership council because he's made such a turnaround, become that kind of player.
Third down. They will run the ball up the middle to Carlos Hyde, trying to get the first down yardage.
And now you may see the spike.
And there it is to stop the clock. 15 seconds to go. So they had to run it to get the first down. They have to burn about 4 seconds after the spot of that ball before the spike.
15 seconds left. They can still get a first down without getting to the end zone, but there's only 15 seconds left. You wonder how many plays they can run from the 10-yard line and what they have in mind with this passing game, how many plays they have for this type of situation this deep in the red zone to get them to the end zone.
Guyton underneath, incomplete to a diving Evan Spencer at the 2.
And that play only took 3 seconds. And so that's a quick throw, a 3-second play. It's third down, so they'll get at least 2 more plays here if they don't get a first down.
No timeout, so they would have to go to the outside if they did not go to the end zone. Guyton looking to the corner, into the end zone, incomplete, to flag down.
Pass interference, defense, number 28. Penalty occurred in the end zone. Ball will be placed at the 2-yard line.
Not a whole lot there, but it's a call that they made, Beth. And in this situation, defensively, you tell your defensive backs right now, tackle the wide receivers. Don't let them run routes because the clock will be running.
From the 2, first and goal, Guyton throwing for the end zone, and it is caught for the touchdown by Chris Fields. And now they need the 2-point conversion to tie the game. Guyton on the rollout. Looking back the other way. Guyton to the end zone. They got it. Jeff Hireman ties it up. Second scoring drive, and then to hang in the pocket for the 2-point conversion.
Can't say enough about Guyton. He stands in the pocket. He does not panic. The last couple drives didn't go well, but he said, look, I got it less than a minute. I have no timeouts. I'm going to take my team, put them in the end zone, not once, but then score 2 to tie this game at the end. Can't say enough about his poise. Can't say enough about his confidence and the way he rebounded to go get that touchdown and the 2-point conversion.
The squibber up the middle. Akeem Hunt will not take it the distance this time as the clock expires. And for the second year in a row, the Buckeyes and Boilermakers will play an extra session. Kenny Guyton to Chris Fields, the 2-yard score to get them within 2. And then Guyton to his tight end, Jeff Hireman, sneaking out the back door. And we are even at 22 apiece and headed to OT in Columbus. Going to overtime here at Ohio Stadium. Ohio State trying to stay undefeated. The comeback in the final minute, engineered by Kenny Guyton. Corey Brown was nicked up earlier in the game. We did not see much of him in that 4th quarter, and Kenny Guyton just hanging on, trying to dive back to the line of scrimmage. Second down. Robert Macy has had a good day defensively. He was there to bother Guyton.
That's a nice job by Guyton catching the high snap and not letting that turn into a much worse play and keeping it at 2nd and 10.
Empty set for Guyton. Eyes downfield. Got stoned by. First down inside the 10. Diving to the 7. The first catch of the day for Jake.
And you can see Kenny Guyton getting more and more comfortable standing in the pocket. Great protection by his offensive line, keeping the pocket, and Guyton stands there, waits on Stoneburner to break across the field and throws a strike.
17-yard pickup. Guyton now 6 for 12, 77 yards. On in relief. They give to Carlos Hyde. Gets the helmet down inside the 5 to the 3. Tackled by Taylor Richards. 2nd and goal.
And again, nice blocking by that left side of the Ohio State offensive line. Norwell, Lindsley, Mayor. I mean, that is good block, a nice hole for Carlos Hyde to go downfield and set up a 2nd and goal from the 3-yard line.
17 carries, 91 yards today for Carlos Hyde. He'll get it again. Trying to second effort it in. No, check that. Guyton keeps it, diving to the one. Good ball fake.
Kenny Guyton on the carry. Tackled by Taylor Richards and Sean Robinson.
Carlos Hyde diving in for the touchdown. Buckeyes take the lead in overtime. Second TD of the day for Carlos as he goes airborne.
And again, that's an offensive line off to the left side. Lets Carlos Hyde get into the end zone.
He ran right up the back of Corey Lindsley and in. Extra point is good. So Ohio State first up in overtime, and they hit for 7. And now it's Caleb Turbush's turn. Purdue needs 7 to force a second OT. Turbush with the fake, going upfield, incomplete. Intended for Gabe Holmes, and it was a good stick by C.J. Barnett late in the play.
And this is the ball that needs to come out a little earlier. The receiver is wide open out in the flat. Turbush has got to get this ball out, and it's a nice hit by C.J. Barnett to make sure that the receiver cannot bring this ball in.
Well, it looks like Holmes had a good shot at that, but Barnett able to jar it loose. Second down, Boilermakers. Turbush, incomplete. Over the head of McCarthy. Third down.
Ohio State brings the blitz right up the gut. Unblocked man, makes Turbush get the ball out before he wants to. He takes the big hit, throws the high ball, incomplete, setting up a 3rd and 10.
Turbush, they try another receiver screen to Gabe Holmes. He gets to the 20. It will be 4th down. They need the 15 for a first down.
And this is where your crowd, your 12th man, should come into play. It should be so loud that Turbush can't get his cadence, can't get his guys to hear the cadence in this situation.
4th and 5. Turbush stepping up on the run, launching it for the end zone, incomplete. And the Ohio State Buckeyes win it in overtime. Let's go down on the field now with Lewis Johnson.
All right, thanks very much. Coach, what do you make of the way this team got into overtime and then pulled out the victory here?
I think if you look up resiliency, and I mean, we had some tough injuries to a couple of our leaders, and that's a resilient win against a good team.
What about Kenny Guyton, the way he did get it to overtime and then the way you rocked the stadium to bring it back for the win?
The old right-hander made some plays for us, but he prepares. You know, he prepares the right way.
In a situation like this, you're 7-0, everything's on the line. What did you learn about your team in a moment like this?
I learned about 4 weeks ago. They got real serious about their jobs. We're not a great team, but we're getting better and better and better. And at the end of the day, we just got to find a way to win a game.
And finally, most importantly, any update on Braxton Miller?
No, I'm anxious to find out as well.
All right, Coach, thanks very much. Beth?
Thank you, Lewis. In overtime, our final score, Ohio State 29, Purdue 22.